My advice as well to parents in dealing with your teenage children, please understand that they're still learning. Have mercy on them. Be compassionate towards them, and what I mean by that is not by giving them everything they want. No. Being compassionate to them is the following. Do these 7 things in your life and make them a habit with your teenage kids, especially if they pass that and they become adults forever. Number 1, try to be a listener. Parents, listen to your child without judgment. And for example, some children, some teenagers, they may have gone up to no good, and suddenly you'll find that they lock themselves up in their room. One minute they've been out talking to family, and the next minute they just change. They isolate themselves, they go into the room, they close the door, and suddenly you think something's going on, right? A parent has to understand that they are now going into the world and they're starting to become adults themselves. So obviously they're going to fall into some problems, but if they're not able to come to you as a parent, then you've got to re-evaluate how your relationship is with them. The most successful parents I have come across in my life are the ones who their children can come to talk to them about any problem. So once they do that, tell them, look, son, daughter, I'm here to listen. And wallahi, I will not judge you. Now parents some of them might get an anxiety attack and say, oh my God, I don't know what's going on. And if they tell me they're going to lose the plot, I say to you, listen, it is better for them to tell you about the problem now before it advances and gets even bigger later on when it's not going to be able to be dealt with. Let them talk to you now. There's a parent of mine who gave me this idea, a parent that I spoke to. He says he's got a daughter who was about 11, 12 years old. And whenever he agreed with his daughter, saying, listen, if there's anything sensitive we're going to talk about, we need a word between us. And then she goes, what's the word? He goes, let's say, for example, balloon. Balloon means we're in this vacuum and we're protected. So that means we can talk about anything without any judgment. And that worked tremendously because that child now grew up to know that there is a safety net, that they can talk to their parent without being judged, and so they can work on solutions, inshallah. Number 2, show your teenagers interest, and your adult children, or especially as they're growing up, maybe 9, 10, 11 years old, show them how you are also interested in their hobbies. Don't belittle their hobbies. They're allowed to have games and hobbies and share it, even if you don't enjoy it. Number 3, talk about their feelings and your feelings. Parents can talk about their vulnerabilities and talk about on a deeper level rather than just rules, instructions, consequences, school. When they come home, it's another school. You know, homes these days are 2 types. They're either totally neglectful or totally military. Another school, they come back home, another school. Or they go to school, come back, and it's neglectful on their iPads, on their audio visuals all night, no care. You've got to strike a balance. So what happens here is talk on a personal level. Walk together and talk on personal levels. And be vulnerable a little bit, oh parents, and you watch your children will start opening up, inshallah. Number 4, acknowledge, validate, tell, and then thank. Acknowledge your children's feelings. Validate them. I see. Start like this, say, I see that this is upsetting you. Number 2, I can understand how it's hurting you. The pain is, if I was in your place, I'll feel the same way. And, say, look, I understand, Baba, I understand. And then number 3, talk. Say, can I say a few words? I'd like to say, talk. This is on a deep level. Wallahi, if you have this on a weekly basis, inshallah, or whenever a problem happens, then subhanallah, your relationship with your children will only increase and they'll become better human beings, better Muslims, inshallah ta'ala. Number 5, give them some space as they get older. You don't have to always hone in onto them, walking onto their room. Give them their privacy. They have a right to their privacy. Don't go to their phones without their permission, for example, unless you have a really serious concern, something that really is there. That's a different story in order to protect your children. But other than that, let them feel that they are, I'll tell you something. My brother and I, when we were about 18, 19 years old, I found out a hack with my dad. My dad had this curfew on us. He said, you have to come home at 8:30 p.m. Now that's pretty bad, because when you're out with your mates and it's 8:30 p.m. and then you go, oh, I've got to go home. You're an 18, 19-year-old and your mates are looking at you thinking, Are you all right, mate? You're still a baby? And then, it was quite sometimes very hard. So my brother and I would sort of stay a little bit longer, and then the phone call, we didn't have mobiles at that time, but so that's why we got away with it. And then the phone calls would go to like different parents' houses. And then when we got home, my brother and I would come in through the window and would try and tiptoe. And then every time I remember, one time came at night and I said, you go this way, I'll go that way. And then in the darkness of the dark, I hear my dad's voice. Where were you? And then we just freeze. And then we start blaming each other. But my father was very good with us. He started explaining, look, it's okay, just keep connecting because I fear for you, as you're going out, I need to feel that you're responsible. So I found a hack. Every time I'd go out, I'd find the phone, I'd call my parents and I'd say, I'm here, I'm with these friends, we're just having a good time, inshallah, we'll come back at this time. And I would stick to it exactly. Now my brother didn't do the same thing, right? So then as time went on, my father started to trust me outside because I'm the person who will keep them sort of, knowing where we are. And then every time I went out or my brother wanted to go out, my dad would say, you go out with your brother. You're not allowed to go out unless you're with your brother. So the idea is that you need to, as you get older, you got to show your parents that they can let go a little bit as well and that they can trust you. So at the same time, parents, you let go a little bit and let them try the world by themselves. Agree together with rules in the house. And number 7, teach them what the boundaries are under your roof. I have a mother who once told me that her son's taking drugs. And every time she comes into the house, he brings in the drugs, he's got siblings. And I said to her, okay, what are you doing about it? She goes, I don't know what to do. The other day the dad wanted to call the police. I said, all right, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Have you tried speaking to organizations? Have you tried speaking to friends? Have you tried to place the rules? She says, we've done all of that. And now the son's doing it openly. I said, all right. In the end, after everything, I said, call the police. I said, but I can't put my son into this. I said, if you don't do that, your son is going to either lose his life or he's going to get his siblings onto these drugs or something worse is going to happen. So she did that. He ended up in prison for a little while after a long time. He came out, they gave him rehab. We attached him to Muslim brothers in an organization, alhamdulillah. And after all that help, got married, and he settled his life, alhamdulillah. Sometimes parents do have to take strict measures under their roof and boundaries.